Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the latest updates. Today, I want to share a deeply personal and moving story about Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa, two icons we've watched for years. Their love story, their partnership, and the quiet battles they've faced together have touched so many hearts. But recently, they've experienced something that changed everything. A shift in the air. For years, Mark Consuelos had been the epitome of strength. Confident, energetic, and always carrying that unmistakable spark. He lit up every room he entered. Whether he was on screen with Kelly Ripa or in his private moments, he seemed unstoppable. Together, they were Hollywood's picture-perfect couple, known for their balance, love, laughter, and an unbreakable bond. They seemed to have it all, but behind those smiles, something had quietly begun to change. Those closest to them began to notice the subtle shifts. Mark seemed more withdrawn, more tired. His usual laughter wasn't as spontaneous, and his eyes, once so full of mischief, now seemed weighed down by something unspoken. Kelly, ever perceptive, felt it too. She noticed how he gripped her hand a little tighter, as though he needed her to anchor him. At first, they brushed it off. Busy schedules, stress, the pressures of everyday life. But deep down, Kelly couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. The moment everything changed. The day everything changed didn't come with drama or chaos. It came quietly, in the form of a routine doctor's visit. It was something they almost canceled, never imagining the conversation that would follow. When the diagnosis was revealed, it felt as though time froze. Mark sat in silence, absorbing the news, nodding occasionally as the doctor spoke. Kelly sat beside him, her fingers trembling, trying to stay strong for him. Not for the cameras or the world, but for the man she loved. The air in the room grew heavy. Every plan, every future moment they had taken for granted suddenly felt fragile, as though everything they knew was shifting beneath them. Kelly later admitted that she didn't cry right away. Instead, she asked questions, reassured Mark that they would face it together, just like they always had. But when they stepped outside, away from the sterile walls of the doctor's office, her strength gave way. She broke down. Tears flowed freely as the weight of years of love, fear, and helplessness poured out all at once. In that moment, it was Mark who held her close, comforting her despite the fact that he was the one facing the diagnosis. Their roles blurred. They weren't husband and wife, celebrities. They were simply two people, terrified of losing the life they had built together. Kelly's struggle with fear and love. Kelly later reflected that this moment was the hardest of her life. I faced live television, public scrutiny, and unimaginable pressure, she said, but nothing prepares you for hearing that the person you love might not be okay. What made it harder was Mark's response. He didn't panic. He didn't fall apart. Instead, he became quieter, more reflective. He focused on protecting his family, especially Kelly. He worried less about himself and more about how this would affect her, their children, and the people who loved them. It broke Kelly's heart even more to witness this. She noticed how often Mark tried to lighten the mood with humor, cracking jokes when there was no need for it, almost as if he believed laughter could shield them from the weight of the reality they were facing. But late at night, when the house was silent, Kelly could hear him pacing, thinking, processing, and grappling with the fear that now lived within him. The fear had a sound, and she could hear it in the rhythm of his steps. As the days turned into weeks, their world shifted. Conversations became deeper, more meaningful. Every hug lasted longer, and every "I love you" carried more weight than ever before. The small things, arguments over trivial matters, didn't matter anymore. What mattered most was time, the quiet moments and overwhelming emotions. There were moments that overwhelmed Kelly in ways she hadn't expected. Sitting in makeup chairs, hearing certain songs, watching Mark play with their children. These moments took on new meaning. She found herself retreating to wipe away tears, her emotion threatening to spill over. But she wasn't crying for sympathy. She was crying because fear doesn't disappear just because you're strong. Love makes you vulnerable, and the thought of losing the person who knows you better than anyone was unbearable. Mark, on the other hand, asked for privacy. Not because he was hiding anything, but because he wanted to face this challenge in his own way. Quietly, with dignity. He leaned into routine, focusing on his exercise, his faith, and his family. "We're okay," he would remind Kelly. "We're here. That's what matters." Still, there were moments when Kelly couldn't keep it together. She cried in the car, in the shower, and in the quiet dark when Mark had already fallen asleep. She cried not just out of fear, but out of love, the kind of love that makes your chest ache because it's so deep. A bond, strengthened by adversity. Despite the weight of their situation, their bond grew even stronger. Where some couples might fracture under pressure, Mark and Kelly leaned into each other. They spoke more honestly, laughed harder when they could, and held each other through the tears when they couldn't. There's no dramatic ending to this story, no neat resolution. Real life rarely offers that. Instead, what has emerged from this trial is resilience, love, and quiet courage. They chose each other every single day, even when the future felt uncertain. Kelly once said, "I don't need guarantees, I just need him." And Mark, in his understated way, showed the world that true strength doesn't always mean being unafraid. Sometimes it means facing fear with grace. The struggles of everyday life. This isn't just a sad update. It's a reminder that behind the fame and the bright studio lights, there are real people. Love is tested, not in perfect moments, but in painful ones. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is hold on, even when your heart is breaking. As the initial shock faded, a new reality slowly began to settle in. It wasn't a reality that either Mark or Kelly had chosen, but one they now had to navigate together. Mornings felt different. Time felt louder. Even the simplest routines carried an emotional weight that hadn't been there before. Coffee tasted the same, the sun still rose, but everything felt more fragile. Cherishing every moment. Kelly became hyper-aware of Mark in ways she never had before. The sound of his breathing at night, the way he moved through the house, the pauses in his speech when he was deep in thought. She found herself watching him when he didn't know, memorizing him. It wasn't out of panic, but out of a desperate need to appreciate every second. Mark, of course, noticed. He'd catch her staring and gently tease, "What's going on?" But Kelly could never quite explain it. How do you explain that you're afraid the present might someday become a memory? What hurt Kelly the most was how normal Mark tried to keep everything. He still showed up, still smiled for fans, still asked about her day as if nothing had changed. His quiet determination to not let the diagnosis define him was both inspiring and heartbreaking. It made Kelly proud, but also terrified, because sometimes denial can look like strength.